No, no.
So you could still see me, right?
Yes.
Because I'm have my script up, so I'm scripted.
No.
So
Okay.
I'm just
Go to the home page. Go to the home page.
so Jeff, just so you know, I
hit on the first one, on the one
I
about the
timed
vote.
my remarks to it's like 4:40.
Okay, great.
So when you're holding up those signs, I won't see them because I'm reading. So.
Okay, that's fine.
There, click that one, and there should be a link.
So Kristen, we are live up on the YouTube if you want to put that up on the library's website.
Okay, let me refresh. Oh, there we are. Okay, I'm going to turn off my, I'm going to mute myself now so we don't get the weird feedback.
Yes. Yeah, we had to find that out. If we broadcast out over YouTube, if you're watching yourself on YouTube and speaking here as a panelist, it becomes circular. So get some odd audio effects. So it's unusual when it happens a little bit faster than we were than I worry about. So now we've got 8 minutes to wait while we sit here and broadcast live.
Jeff, are you going to mute us all and then unmute us, or do you want us to do that?
I will unmute you, but I've not turned on that bit. It adds a level of complication if I have to unmute you. If I'm the only one that can mute or unmute you, each of you has the ability to unmute yourself. But I will mute everybody as I start, and then I'll unmute you in order.
Okay.
Jeff, can you hear me?
Kristen, I can.
So we're up on the website as well. Everything's ready.
Great. Thank you.
Should be on the website first.
And Jeff, could you just clarify, you're going in alphabetical order, correct?
Yes, the same exact order that's on the ballot. We thought, just for ease, that's what we'll do.
Hi, Ryan. I haven't met you yet, but
How are you?
okay.
Good.
Hi, Mary and I know each other.
Yep. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
I've seen you
Lisa.
on the governor's news press conferences.
Yes, I'm right there asking all pertinent questions.
Yep.
Hi, Christy. And Charmaine.
I'm Charmaine.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
former school board member.
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, I was, I guess.
Well, you're still former, so you're a former school board member, so you're still former.
There's a lot of activity at the library right now. We are deep into preparations to begin the curbside pickup, which an announcement about that will be going out, will be forthcoming. I'm not going to announce it here. We'll be announcing that out via the library's email newsletter. That seems to be, with the exception of the actual footnotes newsletter, which we takes a little while to put together. It's not really our most agile platform. So we will be putting out that information on to the public via our email newsletter that goes out to about 10,000 people each week. So that's our widest reach. So we're putting that out shortly. So we're getting a lot of questions as we have some staff people there, and the garage door's open, and we're building things and working on the building. People are coming by and saying, "Oh, what's going on here? There's more activity here than there has been recently." So that's good news.
Great. And so how will that work? People will email requests, or how do they?
So just generally speaking, again, for the first time, generally speaking, what will happen is the first part of curbside pickup will be filling holds through the request system, just exactly the way people normally fill their holds. And later on, we'll be adding the ability for people to call us up and say, "Oh, I need 10 picture books on some subject," and we'll
Okay.
those and make them for curbside. So that's announcements about that coming shortly.
Will we return our already held books before all that?
Very likely, yes.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. Complication is, of course, that we have to sequester items for 72 hours before we can handle them. So we are working furiously on expanding our ability to have book drops so that we can manage all the material. Because one book drop, we have one external book drop that does not hold even 1 day's worth of returns for our library. So trying to get a larger book drop, we have the largest book drop without going to some sort of custom beast that does not exist. We have the largest one already, so we could add multiple ones. So that's the plan, is basically we will have multiple temporary book drops out in the parking lot so that people can start to return their materials. Because I know there's this great flood of unwanted materials that people have been holding on to for the past couple months. So that is the first part of the plan. So I would expect an announcement about that pretty soon. But the folks from the town and the town emergency management office have been very helpful to us with supplying the library with sanitizers and personal protective equipment for the staff. So, thanks. In this forum, I will thank them officially because they've been so responsive to us and have allowed us to tap into some of those, some of the products that are produced by New York State. So we were able to get those in for both staff and public. So that's good. There's nothing worse than dead air.
Has everyone muted their phones?
No, I don't really use one, but it's a good practice. I actually have to deliver a webinar in June for an hour and a half, and I'm used to teaching in person, so this is a good experience.
We've learned a lot about using these platforms to deliver services, both direct people, direct one-on-one services. We use some different platforms. So this tends to be our favorite platform for board meetings or presentations, multi-to-multi presentations like this. The integration with YouTube has allowed us to push out the board meetings and the other, so for our public meetings.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty seamless. I mean, you saw how we said, okay, it's time to turn on our YouTube live presentation. You saw how quickly that happened. It's, there are some ways to there's lots of ways to accomplish that same thing. Some of them involving a separate software. This one is integrated all into the same software. So,
well, the governor has said that, we're going to be reimagining how we do things moving forward because we've had this experience. It's one of those silver linings that might come out of this, that we can all do things differently.
I know the staff of the library are extremely comfortable with video technologies that hosting meetings that they, the levels were all over the place. Some people were more comfortable, some people were less comfortable. As a whole, the entire staff is very comfortable with that now. So we've learned from having to troubleshoot people's technology over the phone that that's when you really hone your skills. So.
Okay, coming up on 6.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started. I think we're close enough. 30 seconds here or there isn't going to matter too much. We'll have this session recorded. I just want to say thank you all for coming. I appreciate you working with us in this new way as we try to figure out how we can get the information that's important to the patrons out to them. Thank you for joining us at our virtual Meet the Candidates event. This is your chance to get to know the people running for a seat on the Library Board of Trustees. This year, the library has 2 open seats up for vote, each with a term of 5 years, with the incumbent Lisa Scoones seeking re-election. The 6 candidates on the ballot this year have been invited to speak with us this evening. They are in order of that they appear on the ballot: Mark Bromwich, Christine Arang, Mary Phillips, Lisa Scoones, Ryan Venter, and Charmaine Wijeyesinghe. Information about the candidates is available online at www.bethlehempubliclibrary.org. The 2020-2021 budget vote and Board of Trustees election will be held on Tuesday, June 9th by absentee ballot, in conjunction with the school district vote. An outline of the proposed budget is on our website. Candidates have been invited to give a 5-minute statement about themselves and their reasons for seeking a spot on the Board of Trustees. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mark Gronich. Give me a second, I will.
Greatly appreciate having this opportunity to talk to the voters of the library district and tell everyone why I am the most qualified among the candidates to be a trustee on the Bethlehem Public Library Board. First, some background about me. I have always loved libraries from the time I grew up in Brooklyn to the time I spent as a student in the U Albany Library to my postgraduate journey as a small business owner, entrepreneur, fundraiser for nonprofits, writer, reporter, and most recently, volunteering with the Friends of the Bethlehem Public Library. Part of my success is that I am an out-of-the-box thinker. I work well with coworkers and respect the views of other board members. Having a measured demeanor is also an important skill I possess as a mechanism to convince others to see a point of view that might not be their own. I have always felt teachers, including library personnel and nurses, are the most underpaid and underappreciated members of the workforce, and I tell that story every chance I get. Our library is a jewel in our town. All we need to do is put some polish on this jewel to make it shine brighter. We need to celebrate our past, honor our present, and prepare for the future. In just 2 years, in 2022, we will be celebrating the golden anniversary. Imagine that, 50 years since the library has been serving the district out of the building on Delaware Avenue. As farmland has increasingly become developments for housing and commercial use, the population of the library district has increased by more than 60% since 1972, and we haven't moved the needle very much as to how the library services the ever-growing and expanding district. Customer service is the key to remaining relevant and changing with times. As a board member, I will put together a citizens committee to try to figure out how to bring the services we are so very proud of to the far reaches of the district so our seniors, homebound residents, and children have a better chance to enjoy our golden jewel in the shadow of our golden anniversary. But gold is just a metaphor for our spirit and enthusiasm. We don't have gold funding our library. We are all concerned about finances and affordability. Increasing the library budget by more than 3% without a real accounting, in plain English, not just numbers, for where the money is going to be spent is a spending plan I would not accept. I am a big fan of community media, also known as public access television. When the library disbanded the public access studio in favor of a makerspace, many people who used the studio space felt disenfranchised because it became a DIY project. Doing it yourself does not always mean that the final product, the end result, is better. It does not always mean that the people who use the studio can be technologically advanced enough to do it alone. As part of the Citizens Committee, I mentioned before we need to figure out how to incorporate a user-friendly television facility. The money for equipment comes from your cable bill and goes into the town coffers because the town signs the franchise agreement with the cable company. We need to right the ship for a better library system. We need to video record and televise the library board meetings. We also need to post the meetings on YouTube and other social media outlets and push the link out to the public via email. There needs to be more transparency than exists today. Of all the candidates, I am the only one who submitted petition signatures to run for this position, not just the minimum of 50, but 72 signatures. I heard from the voters. Everyone I spoke with wants to see an improved system. Let me tell you a quick story from my travels around the library district. One person on Darragh Road did not want to sign my petition because he was so upset about how the library was being run. He thought the library system should be scrapped. Imagine that, because he pays too much in library taxes and doesn't feel he gets anything in return. After I get elected, I will go back to this guy and get him to be a fan of the library, I promise. This is just one example of a customer who is dissatisfied. I question how many more are we losing as part of our core audience? We need to do better outreach to all those served by the library district. I'm sure that for every sad story, there are dozens of amazing stories as to how the library serves the community. Let's improve. I want to be a part of that process. With your vote, I will be. I promise to work tirelessly on your behalf to make this library sparkle more than it already does. My name is Mark Ronich, and I am asking for your vote. Please stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Mark. Next up is Christine Arang.
Good evening. My name is Christine Arang, and I'm a candidate for the Bethlehem Public Library Board of Trustees. I'll start by giving you a little bit of background about myself. I got my degree in chemical engineering from Case Western University in Cleveland, Ohio. After college, I moved to New York to start my career and also ended up starting my family. My husband and I have lived in the town of New Scotland for 20 years and have been part of the Bethlehem School District for over 10. We have two wonderful girls who will both be attending the high school next year. During my girls' early elementary education, I was an active PTO member and served board positions for multiple years. In my work, I am a research scientist, and I've spent the last 20 years working first for GE Global Research and then currently for SABIC. In my work, I love constantly learning new things and finding creative solutions to a wide variety of problems, both technical and logistical. I desire to serve on the Library Board of Trustees because I value the services of the library, both personally and for what is provided to the community. The community benefits greatly from the current services and offerings of the library, and serving on the Board of Trustees can help to contribute and further that community benefit. My personal interest is in helping the library achieve goals that are both important to myself and the community, especially demonstrating a strong focus on service and education. So far as I see it now, our library serves a valuable role in the areas of education, entertainment, and environment. The physical and electronic resources, as well as varied programs covering a wide variety of topics, provide learning opportunities for young and old alike. The books, the media, the museum passes, the technology that you can bring home, and the colorful play space provide a safe and free learning environment that can be taken advantage of by many members of the community. And it's all housed in a welcoming location to provide a place for this education and entertainment. I'd like to continue to work with the library board to maximize effective use of materials, technology, programming, and facilities. In these unprecedented times of changing community needs, budget pressures, and operational adjustments, it's important to continue to help the library be the best that it can be and to figure out what are the new ways to serve the community best. In difficult economic and social times, the importance of the library and its service to the community is even more critical than it's been before. I view working with the library board and staff to fulfill the mission of the library much like the same work that I do every day, supporting long-term research projects. You start with a long-term vision that you carry out by following an organized strategic plan that will get you where you want to be by following your course of actions, budget, and resources. There may be bumps in the road that create a series of constraints for your future actions, but this just requires flexibility and creative problem solving along the way. It's valuable and imperative to have a team of varying backgrounds and strengths, like the current library board that we have now, that can work well together to find answers and help choose what may be the right path forward in the future. It's crucial to delve into the background and details of activities and actions to make the most informed decisions possible along the way, and continue to focus on the best and most efficient use of budget and time. With a focus on long-term objectives and goals while monitoring progress along the way, we can work together to have the most positive benefit that we can see for both ourselves and our community. I feel that I'd be a good addition to the library board based on my personal qualities of scientific inquisitive nature, my technical background, and my flexible working style, along with my love for the library and education. These are I would like to continue to see a focus in the future on using the library for education, entertainment, and as an environment or a venue, a destination for the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mary Phillips.
Thank you, Jeff, and the library for providing us this forum tonight. My name is Mary Phillips. My husband and I have lived in Del Mar since the early 1980s. We have two sons who graduated from Bethlehem Central High School and have moved away, but they still come home to Del Mar. I'm a retired computer scientist. I have always worked with computers, beginning with the Defense Department, then 31 years at GE Global Research, then 15 years with HRI working for the New York State Health Department. I was working in computers early on, and with them, I grew at every step of the way. And with that, I have learned to become flexible, persistent, and forward-thinking. I've seen how important technology is for all of us, and I'm pleased that it has become an integral part of the Bethlehem Public Library. I've been an active volunteer in the community and beyond. When I retired from GE, I had been working in Niskayuna and was asked to join the board for Habitat for Humanity of Schenectady County. I was on that board for 12 years, serving as its secretary for 6 years. I understand how important boards are to an organization. I am now active in Delmar, currently serving as president of an area quilt guild, Quilters United in Learning Together, and am secretary to the board for the Friends of the Bethlehem Public Library. I've grown up using a public library. As a teenager, I volunteered at my local library shelving returned books. For me, the library has always been an important resource for books, music, information, meeting places, as well as an important part for a sense of community. This list just keeps on growing, and now, as I'm involved with the Friends, I've seen how even more the library is involved in Delmar. It is a much larger and more encompassing resource than I had ever realized. As we've seen over the past couple of months, the library is much more than a place to go to get a book or a movie or some music, or a place to meet and learn and enjoy being with our friends. Even with the doors closed, it's become a resource for books, movies, through the downloads with Overdrive and Hoopla, and streaming with Canopy. It's been story hours and listening parties and book discussions with online events. It's been the Wi-Fi resource for people in the town to keep them all connected. I would like to join the trustees because I love this library so much and I want to help shape its future. The opportunities for our libraries are great. I think we need to keep our resources available to everyone. Some like the in-house, in-person hard copy resources, and others enjoy the online and the digital resources. It's important that the library be available to all its patrons. As times change, these possibilities will just expand. We need to keep the flexibility to be able to change with the circumstances. I would like to see more of the resources available to the community for larger groups, for our in-house events, as well as meeting places for the town, for the people in the community. I'd like to help the library as it moves forward in this volatile time. Thank you.
At this point, I would like to welcome Lisa Scoones.
Hello, I'm Lisa Scoones, and as Jeff noted, I'm seeking re-election to a second term on the board. In 2015, when I declared my candidacy the first time, there was also a full ballot of 6 candidates for 2 seats, and it garnered some press attention at the time. A spotlight reporter called and asked whether the turnout meant that there were problems or issues that people felt needed to be addressed. My response was no, it simply shows how invested Bethlehem residents are in the library, that they would volunteer their time to this great organization. Today, having read the bios of the other candidates and heard them tonight, I believe that's still the case. During my first term, I served as the library's liaison to the Upper Hudson Library System, UHLS, where I sat on the board and the services committee. This experience provided me with a unique perspective that I've sought to bring to our board during my tenure. Upper Hudson is comprised of 29 member libraries in Albany and Rensselaer counties, and they are a varied group of large and small, urban and rural, all facing similar challenges, but with different realities. As a large suburban school district library, Bethlehem is blessed in many regards in comparison to other libraries, but there is still opportunity to benefit and learn from the UHLS community. For example, the service committee reviews annual applications for both construction grants and exemplary program awards, and these are often a rich resource for information and ideas. If reelected, I hope to continue in these roles on behalf of the board. In my paid work life, I am the communications manager for the New York State Health Insurance Program, also known as NISHIP, one of the largest employer health insurance programs in the country, serving 1.2 million lives of state, local government employees, retirees, and their families. While the number is significantly larger, my experience with addressing the needs of a very diverse population is directly transferable to the library because it also seeks to deliver services and provide resources to a broad changing population. Developing a communication strategy requires awareness of baseline knowledge, identification of gaps in segments of the population that are not being served so that resources can be mobilized to address those needs. This is similar to the ongoing work of the library's long-range planning steering committee, which is using input gathered from the community earlier this year to help chart the future of the organization and services that can be provided. As a committee member, my goal has been to help develop a plan that is informed by public feedback and future trends while permitting the library the flexibility and agility needed to address any challenges that may arise. An excellent example of this is the recent coronavirus pandemic. In a very short period, the library was tasked with the challenge of delivering library services remotely. Previous forward-thinking initiatives, such as providing community wireless access at several public locations in the town, helped to serve residents' needs that quickly pivoted to the virtual environment. Investment in technology such as hotspots, laptops, and e-content services, including Overdrive, Canopy, Hoopla, and Flipster, have helped to transition patrons and even new users during this difficult time. And as plans are underway for reopening in the future, library leadership and staff are planning to implement creative ways to help our community get back to the new normal of day-to-day life. There is one thing that we have learned from this challenge. It's that we are one community, fully dependent upon one another. Despite the technological advances of today's society, building partnerships and support within our communities is crucial and relevant. This is no different for the library, and while we have done a good job making those connections, there is still more work that can and should be accomplished. If re-elected, I will continue to advocate for developing stronger bonds within our community and thinking creatively about new opportunities. In closing, I encourage you to learn more about the candidates on the library's website and respectfully request that you support my candidacy when completing your absentee ballot next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. At this point, I'd like to welcome Ryan Venter.
Thank you, Jeff. My name is Ryan Venter, and I want to thank the staff at the Bethlehem Public Library for putting this event together tonight, my fellow Board of Trustee candidates for joining me here on Zoom, and the citizens of the town of Bethlehem for participating in tonight's event. I am grateful to be able to be considered a candidate for the role of Board of Trustees, as it is an important and impactful position. While we all prefer to hold this event in person at the library, we are thankful to participate tonight in a virtual manner. The town of Bethlehem has been my home for 90% of my life. Other than the 4 years I spent obtaining my degree at Boston College, I have lived in the town of Bethlehem my entire life. I've grown up here, and now my own kids are growing up here, taking advantage of the great benefits that are part of the fabric of Bethlehem. The school district, the YMCA, the Elm Avenue Park, the youth sports organizations, the library, of course, and much more. The library has always been a key part of that formula that has made Bethlehem such a great place to live and raise a family. And I want to be part of the team that continues to build on past successes, but also be a part of the next generation of community leaders that lends new ideas, new thoughts, new programs, and new solutions to guide the library into the future. I have 17 years of working in nonprofits, mostly in higher education, also with a community organization, the YMCA, and have developed significant experience ranging from budget management to board development to staff supervision to fundraising, all of which will greatly benefit me if given the opportunity to serve as a board of trustee. Experience working with boards and with a nonprofit, and especially with a community organization, is critical because the library certainly works to serve the needs of all citizens. Look around in the library space when you go in next time. And I know we all hope that day is sooner rather than later. You'll most likely see a mom or a dad with a young child doing puzzles, or a teen working on homework with a tutor, or an adult on a computer utilizing the internet, or a grade schooler taking out a book on insects. It really is amazing the range of people in the library at any given time. We have to understand and realize that as the library strives to reflect the needs of the community. I represent the next generation. I'm a millennial. I've seen some conflicting definitions as to when the millennial generation begins and ends, but a few of them include me in the age range, so I'll cling to that as much as I can. While our visitors to the library reflect the various groups and citizens of the town, our board should do the same and represent our community as much as possible. The library shows a true cross-section of the town, and the board should be composed in a similar manner. We have so many great resources, people, and organizations in our community. We should do whatever we can as a library to work together. We should partner with organizations such as the Y, the school district, the police, the town, the Chamber of Commerce, and all the other groups that add value to the town of Bethlehem. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We do need to listen and reach out for help and assistance and expertise that might be held by others outside of the library. I will emphasize and work towards increased community partnerships between the library and other entities in the town of Bethlehem. Professionally, I have worked exclusively in nonprofits for my entire career, something that I do not take lightly, and something that I'm very proud of as I look back as to where I've come. But more importantly, look forward to where I'm going. But what I'm most proud of is that I'm a family man. You might see me on a walk with my wife, Christy, or on a bike ride with my daughter, Grace, or at a gymnastics meet with my other daughter, Ella. I want to make them proud, and I want to make a difference. This is such an exciting opportunity to be a leader in the town. I don't take this opportunity lightly, and I want to thank everyone at the library for organizing tonight's event. I want to thank you at home for listening and participating in the election in the coming weeks. And I hope that you consider supporting me for a position on the Board of Trustees at the Bethlehem Public Library. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, Ryan. At this time, I'd like to welcome Charmaine Wijeyesinghe.
Good evening. I'm looking for the thing to shift over. I want to thank the Board of Trustees and the library staff for organizing this event, and for the community, for those folks who tune in to watch either now or later on. My name is Charmaine Wijeyesinghe. I have lived in this town for 23 years with my spouse and 2 children. Both children went through the Bethlehem Central School District and are now either post-college or in college. My experience at the library almost follows the arc of our lives in this town. We started with the early Mommy and Me story times, the different events for young children, concerts, sleepovers, or the pajama parties. And then my children began to volunteer in terms of the summer reading program. And as my spouse and I have attended different events, lectures, concerts, and so on, and continue to use the written and electronic options and resources of the library. I've not been a member of the Board of Trustees, and nor do I have a background in library science. So what I hope to offer tonight is not necessarily the expertise in specific to the library that I would bring, but expertise from prior experiences that might help me as a member of the Board of Trustees if I am elected. Before coming to live in Bethlehem, I worked for a not-for-profit in New York City doing board and program development around the country. So I've worked with 62 regional offices of diverse communities, diverse locations, and diverse people in board development. I'm a certified mediator and work in conflict resolution. Prior to working for a not-for-profit, I worked in higher education as an assistant dean, an ombudsperson, and working with the vice chancellor of student affairs at UMass Amherst, and I was the dean of students at Mount Holyoke College. Since 1985, I've been a consultant in areas of social justice, and I go around the country to working primarily with colleges and universities on issues of diversity and social justice. I am also a published author, and my 4th volume is due to the publisher this Saturday, and my 5th will go to a publisher in July. So those are some of the experiences that I might inform my role as a Board of Trustees. Why am I interested in this position? I like to serve this community. The library is clearly a community resource that we've used, and I've seen so many other people use in different ways over the last 2 decades I've lived in this town. It serves a broad and diverse audience who use the library for a range of purposes, and those purposes have changed, as well as the people who utilize the library, I believe, has changed. My relevant experience besides in higher education and board development is a not-for-profit, because I served on the Bethlehem School Board for 9 years. I served 2 years as the vice president. My last term ended 2 years ago. I have background in budgets, bonds, contracts, operations and maintenance, personnel hiring. I served on the audit committee and the policy committee. I've written policies for universities and through my work in the school board. I have a strong background in that, mission statements and long-range planning. I know there are differences between the school district and the library. I know this. I think the school district budget, when I left, we were passing a budget at 99 million. So I've reviewed the library budget, so I know there are differences there, but I think some of the qualities and skills and experiences will transfer. I also know how to gather and use data, whether it's for budget purposes or soliciting community feedback on issues pertaining to expectations of the library, any major programs that are being considered. So I know that background will also help me. I think one of the most important things I bring is understanding the role of a board member. It's to join with other board members as a group to advise and provide perspective to library staff. It's not to do their jobs, it's to give them room to do their jobs, but to offer a perspective and feedback to them and perspectives that we all share or bring to the based on diverse experiences. But when I was on the Board of Education, I was a fairly visible member of this community, and people would come up to me either because they've seen me on the board at board meetings or watch the videos. And one thing they would say to me is, you ask a lot of questions, you're prepared. And I believe that when people shared concerns with me, I always encourage them to come to the Board of Education and I never functioned as a single member. The library itself, I will learn about specific needs and challenges. Overall, I think is how to meet evolving needs within while being fiscally responsible in unknown and uncharted times. I did review the annual report. There's some things of interest to me, but I realize I only have about a minute left, so I'm going to skip those. But I did notice that there's a 65% increase in wireless use. So it'd be interesting to know how the library seeks to address those needs later on. The mission of the library which was readopted in 2002, talks about promoting lifelong learning, cultural enrichment, and professional growth. One question I have is, what do those terms mean now? Are those the terms that we seek, the goals of the library we seek to achieve? And if not, what might be the goals that we want going forward?
Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. A recording of this live broadcast will remain on the library's YouTube channel and the library's website, and links will be up imminently. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to end the YouTube broadcast